So Barbara is ready for all of your questions. Don't hold back. I've been informed she only wants to take questions from the audience, which is a first. So feel free to raise your hands and jump right on in.
Internationally, it's been broadcast in 52 other nations. And in theaters around the world, yes, thank you. Well, we can take a little applause for that. In this country, it never had a national broadcast. Even in Panama, after having a special law declared that made it illegal to show this film by the U.S. installed Democratic government, they passed a law that this film was not allowed to be shown, and the journalists in Panama said they were going to show it anyway in the middle of Panama City, and Joanne Dore's show, one of our producers, yay, without whom we wouldn't have a film, helped organize journalist organizations and journalist watch groups around the world to let that government know that that was going to be a big problem. And they rescinded that law the day before the screening in Panama City. So when one day we turned on the TV and we heard that our government sent down 14,000 troops in the stealth fighter to arrest a man who was walking openly in the streets, not in a bunker, we said, oh man, this is a joke, this is crazy. We know that's a lie, and we're not going to let this one go by. So we were well situated. We had already established a really good reputation amongst Central American countries as being truth tellers, so to speak. We also had relationships with former CIA operatives in the area that have spent the rest of their life trying to reverse the damage they did during their career. And we ran into all kinds of problems, didn't we? In Panama, we were constantly threatened by the U.S. military, by the kind of private guards of the little private armies of both the president and the two vice presidents. And then the tragic part was that people in El Cheree and some of the poorer areas who had lost everything were also a risk for us. We actually had a friend fly down to meet us and help, and he was mugged in El Cheree as he was walking down the street, and as he was being pulled back down, he saw people running out of their places, and he thought, oh God, thank God, someone's coming to help. They ripped the pockets off of his shirt. They ripped the pants pockets off. They ripped off. People were so desperate. They had lost everything. And journalists had developed a very bad reputation of coming down and doing lots of interviews and then not going back and telling the truth. So journalists were not the friends of the people of Panama at the time. In this country, the Treasury Department threatened us at one point. Joanne dealt with them, and as I recall, and the National Security Agency, as I recall. There were a few different departments that, and you can, no? Okay. But anyway, and it took us longer than usual to make the film. Los Angeles was burning. It was right after the Rodney King case, so the rebellion was on, and there were 1,500 buildings burning, and people couldn't even leave the office to get home. The stock market had crashed. The people who used to give us 1,000 gave us 500, and we had 4 people associated with the film die during post-production. That was a tremendous emotional trauma as well as put us back logistically to retrace their work.
Well, actually, we'll pause for a second. This is a special guest I was telling everybody about. This is General Noriega's grandson, Jean-Manuel, who's a frequent STFer. And Jean, join us on the stage. What was it like for you growing up kind of in the aftermath of this invasion? And, you know, if you could bring us up to speed on, what happened with your grandpa and even how you talked about history in your home, I'd be very curious to hear that.
Well, personally, I didn't know about the image that was created by the media, because, I would grow up and visit him. It's funny how now in the age of the internet, there's hardly any censorship, and things can be brought to light in a way that help support the facts that were stated back then. Right now in Panama, there is no president has officially recognized the victims that were affected. The families still haven't received the justice necessary. My grandfather is serving time in Paris when he was convicted without evidence yet again, and in Panama he's been requested several times, and obviously they don't want him back. They're whether they be afraid of the things that that could come to light upon his return. It's obviously a sign of the deception. As the years go by, we keep on seeing more and more, and eventually justice will be served. But
and I think you also have to understand it's and I think we've talked about this. There's no way the international community under the boot of the United States is going to ever let, probably, this man walk free, because we killed hundreds and possibly thousands of people to arrest one fellow. How can we now say it's only a 20-year term when for hundreds, the Pentagon admits to hundreds, others calculate thousands. How can we say, well, their sentence was capital punishment, all the victims, and this person serves 20? It just, it's something the U.S. government has a pretty big stake in.
Yeah, but the rules of the game are becoming more and more clear, and
that's true.
It's a game, and they played it their way, and history will keep bringing up answers, and the truth, the families will receive the justice that they deserve.
If you could all help me thank our guest this evening, Barbara Trent. Thank you.